welcome back to Offshore Adventures. Thank you once again to all our loyal subscribers and to our new ones. And Bob's going to go through what we're going to be doing today in this episode.
Yeah, a few of you have asked about the effect that trim may have on the engine trim may have on speed, particularly when the Zipwakes are running in their fully auto mode, and whether with a bit of addition of trim or taking away trim on the two Yamaha engines, that makes any effect to our litres per hour, to knots, etc. So we thought we'd do today we'd do a couple of runs, 2 or 3 runs, just to see how that data stacks up and see if there's any noticeable difference between trim input on the engines. So on this fabulous day once again, let's just show you the fabulous weather out here at Neyland. Without further ado, we'll get her untied and get out and about into the sunshine. A little bit of wind today, wind coming up Milford Haven, nothing too excessive, one or two knots current. So let's go and enjoy it. So let's have a quick look at what's going on out there with a bit of tides. So we're just beyond, see there, just beyond high tide, 5 hours 40 exactly up there till the next low tide. We're 1.9, so it's almost neaps today. 1.9 meters is low tide, 1.9 over chart datum, obviously that is, and high tide today was just under 6 meters. To a fair line there, Phantom 48.
Our next boat, isn't it?
Yeah, next boat definitely. Might have to do the premium bonds, all the football pools, all the lottery, all 3. Speed there, 23 knots, around about 62, 63 litres an hour. Zipwakes are coming down into single figures now because we're planing, so they're fairly obsolete now once you're planing. And then if we just introduce a bit of trim, take it up 1 notch. So not much movement there with speed, we're at 22 knots still. Still the same fuel. Zipwake sitting about 10%, and we'll go up another notch. And again, so we're a couple of notches up now, still planing speed at 22 knots, still around about 63. Zipwake sitting around about 9-10. And we'll take it up another little bit on the trim. And she's now just round about, still at planing speed, 4,000 RPM, still at 23 knots, still round about 63. So if we go back down again now, trim the engines right the way down, then you can see that we're 23 knots. Still, so very little in the way of significant changes, still sitting around about 63 litres an hour. Zipwakes are still in single figures, so they're not doing much because of the fact we're planing. But the key thing being there that inputs on trim, several notches, don't seem to make a massive amount of difference. Zipwakes seem to do their thing beautifully in keeping the boat up on the plane, and the extra inputs of the engine trim on the Yamahas don't make a really significant impact on both speed, litres per hour, or indeed the revs themselves. As we head out of the haven, Thorn Island in the distance there, fabulous spot. And Stack Fort over there. Okay, so we'll try it as a tide against run. So if we just have a look at the current at the moment, only because we've just gone past high tide, we're only running at about half a knot current, but we're going to go against that now, similar sort of run, and just see if we get any different data there. Bring it back up to about 4,000 RPM. See the Zipwakes there are right down because we're not planing at the moment, and then as the revs come up, we're at 3,700, just coming up towards 4,000 RPM now, and we should see the Zipwakes will start to retract themselves as the boat starts to plane. See the percentages coming down there quite quickly. And we're about 4,000 RPM, just coming down towards single figures on the Zipwakes. Because we're both over one side of the boat doing the filming, then that's why you're seeing a slightly higher percentage at the starboard. And then we're now against that tide, 4,000 RPM, and this time you'll see 22 knots. So we've only lost about a knot speed, and again we're around about 62 litres an hour at planing speed, almost smack on that. And now we'll just start to introduce a notch or two of trim. Still at 22 knots, 62, and again a bit more trim. Just see the indicators here as the engines trim up. And just taking it up a bit more. So we're still at that 4,000 RPM, fraction more, but still 22 knots, around about 61, 62 litres per hour. Zipwakes again running in single figures, and then that one slightly higher because of where the weight's distributed. And we'll just notch it up another notch. That's it. Again, 4,100 revs, 23 knots, and now we'll take her all the way back down again on the trim, back down to what is for us zero trim, which is the 2 notches. That's our 0 point, and you'll see there just came back very slightly on the revs, but knots very similar, 22 knots. Fuel very similar, 62 odd litres per hour. Zipwakes still where they were. lifeboat station, and you just see the trim tabs working there as we turn to starboard. 20% starboard there, 22 in single figures on port, and then as we straighten up again, see one side there, straightening the boat, levelling the boat out, one side right down, and then as we bring the speed down and straighten the boat out, then both Zipwakes dropping down there towards their full extent. 2200 revs, both the Zipwakes now right out, 99%.
So cute. Hello, come over.
One of the last few times that we'll see the Isle of Inishmore Irish ferry. I'll say new one, but the replacement one, Blue Star 1, is en route from Greece as we speak, due here on the 5th of April to replace Inishmore that you see there. Slightly smaller, the other one, but quicker, I understand. About 20 years old. This is the one coming here. As for Inishmore, I think she's well older than that. And after that bit of charging around, it'd be rude not to stop for a bit of lunch. So we've come down to a nice little bay. It's called Sleeping Bay, in fact, which is probably fairly appropriate as oh, Nikki, oh no, she's awake, but Sleeping Bay, and there in the distance, folks, is Sandy Haven and their little caravan park there, which looks pretty busy post lockdown. Still not quite got to the time where travel all around the UK is okay, so these will be just Wales to Wales. England are allowed to travel in another week or so down to this lovely part of the world. So welcome to Sleeping Bay. Stop snoring. data at 4,000 revs, between 62 and 63 LPH, 22 to 23 knots depending on whether we're with the tide. We are with the tide at the moment, and Zipwakes there, just ticking over in single figures. If we bring the speed down, you'll see how the Zipwakes start to kick in as they try and level out boat. There you go. That's right down at 2,500 now, and then if we ease it back up again, you'll see them there start to respond to the speed of the boat and start to retract. There you go, down at well down into single figures there. Turn now to port. You'll see there the Zipwakes responding to the tilt of the boat, trying to correct that tilt, trying to keep it as stable as possible. And now we'll turn back to starboard, and you'll see the opposite effect there. The percentages changing on the Zipwakes, and back to port again, and you see the effect there and how quick those Zipwakes respond to any sort of turn to port starboard to help keep it as stable as possible. So hopefully that's those few runs we've done today have given you a good insight into that relationship between speed, the turn to port and starboard, but particularly then where we started to use the trim on the twin yams. Didn't really affect litres per hour, didn't affect the speed of the boat either, the knots. So some interesting little alternative, or interesting trial that, just to see what, if any, effect those different inputs had on the stability, speed and litres per hour of the boat. Well, okay guys, hopefully that gave you, or answered specifically some of those questions we had about whether the trim of the Yamaha 200s, altering the trim of the engine, affected litres per hour, affected speed when interacting with the Zipwakes. And it was fairly evident that there's very little effect from just trim inputs to that other data. So hopefully that does, as I say, answer your questions. Another very good excuse to be out in the sun, of course. And once again, a huge thank you to all of you who have subscribed. Been absolutely amazing. Those of you who subscribe to the channel, and of course all of our newer viewers that might be joining us for the first time. We'd be very grateful if you subscribed. Yeah, and we've been loving all the comments on on YouTube. Absolutely. So keep them coming, and we're enjoying the discussion. Thank you. Yeah, very much so. If you've got any other requests, any other questions, anything else you want us to perhaps look at, any other bits of the boat, of course, you want us to highlight in the next film, then please let us know in the comments below. Please give us a like on the film if you would, and of course it is completely free. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We'd be very grateful. Thank you very much, and see you again very soon guys. Bye.